Thank you.
Thank you. Senator Roberts.
Thank you, and thank you for appearing today, Governor. We appreciate your sessions. I have a question about the Reserve Bank's reserves, so let me get to it by giving some background. At the BRICS meeting in Cape Town on June 2nd and 3rd, 13 nations will formally apply to join BRICS, which is currently Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa and Saudi Arabia, with an each-way bet. Candidate nations include Mexico, Argentina, United Arab Emirates, Egypt, Indonesia and Iran. BRICS is now the world's largest trading bloc, accounting for 25% of world trade, expected to grow to 50% by 2030, and big in oil. BRICS member states are abandoning the US dollar in favour of using their own currency or Chinese renminbi in an environment where other countries, including Australia, are doing the same thing. Pakistan is now buying Russian oil in renminbi. The US dollar is now denominating just 58% of all world trade. The United States of America has printed $10 trillion over the last 7 years, doubling their M2 money supply, and that increase has been absorbed in part by an increase in international trade. As the world moves away, though, from the US dollar, the value of the US dollar may fall. The Reserve Bank holds United States Treasuries and dollars. Have you modelled the effect on your balance sheet from that probable fall in the value of US holdings?
Not as a result of these other global changes you talk about. We spend a lot of time and part of our risk management processes looking at volatility in currencies, because the currencies move around all the time, don't they? So, and that affects the value of those assets on our balance sheet. So we model that from a risk management perspective. Despite the developments you're talking about, most countries still hold the bulk of their foreign reserves in the US dollar. There's diversification going on, which is good, but the US dollar for some time is going to remain the predominant currency.
What is the value of Reserve Bank holdings of US dollar and US Treasuries in Australian dollars, please?
Our total foreign reserves at the moment, I think, are equivalent of 35 billion US dollars, and the sharing, Brad, you
dollars, I think, is 55%.
So roughly half of that, 35 billion, is allocated to US dollars, and then we have holdings of yen, Korean won, euros and RMB.
So what about treasuries?
Well, when we hold US dollars, we invest in US Treasury securities, so it's invested in. We don't invest in bank deposits or any other securities. We invest in US government securities.
Thank you. What's the reverse holding, Australian government currency and bonds held by the US government or their agencies? We don't have data on... Can we get that on notice?
No, we don't have data on...
You don't have it?
No, we don't have data on specific holdings of other countries.
If I understood your question correctly, Senator, the US holds euros and yen from recollection, but not in large quantities.
Okay, thank you. While that arrangement helps with international stability cross-holdings, it is a method for backdoor quantitative easing. Does the Reserve Bank expect to increase your holding of US Treasuries in the next 12 months?
We've just done an exercise where we're looking at how much of our balance sheet should be held in foreign assets. We said we've got $35 billion at the moment, and as the size of the economy grows, you would expect that number to kind of gradually increase. But nothing dramatic, but as the economy grows and nominal value of the Australian economy is bigger, then you would expect a bigger portfolio in US dollars and foreign currency.
Thank you. The Reserve Bank has a mission to anticipate movements in major trading partners and in world markets as it affects your provisioning and portfolio. Does the Reserve Bank anticipate being affected by any out-of-the-ordinary moves in financial markets in connection with the US economy or the US dollar over forward estimates?
Well, we've recently been focused on the US debt limit issues in the US. If an agreement had not been reached there, that would have had implications for currency markets and economies around the world. So that's one thing that we've looked at carefully. Looks like that's been resolved, thankfully. And as part of our general risk management exercise, we're looking at developments in other economies and their implications for currency markets and our own economy.
Thank you.
Final question, Senator
as a general rule, though, the banks, the way the bank has operated its reserves has changed quite a bit over the last, say, 25 years, and now the bank effectively sets key benchmarks and stick to them. There's not big discretionary decisions going on every day. There's wild speculation going on at the Reserve Bank, I can assure you, about the future value of exchange rates.
I wasn't implying that. Worldwide purchases of US Treasuries by central banks have fallen $600 billion in 2022 as compared to a baseline year of 2013. That's just arbitrary 2013.
Yeah.
Purchases of gold have increased $300 billion. So something's going on which Australia would be prudent to hedge against. Is the Reserve Bank increasing your gold reserves as an each-way bet against BRICS, introducing gold-backed currency of some form?
No, we're not. We've got our gold reserves and we haven't bought and sold for a long time, and we have no intention of changing that at the moment.
Okay.
Thank you, Governor.
Thank you. Senator Bragg.